Good morning. This is the second lesson in the series on cell biology. In this lesson, we will be focusing on cell specialization and differentiation. These lessons are tailored to the AQA, OCR, and Edexcel GCSE specifications, but also suitable for all secondary science curriculums. In this lesson, we will be describing the difference between cell differentiation and specialization, describe the different plant and animal specialized cells and their adaptations. Here we look at the difference between cell differentiation and specialization. During the development of multicellular organisms, cells differentiate to become specialized. During differentiation, the cells develop subcellular structures to perform specific functions. Animals differentiate through at the early stage of their life, but plants differentiate throughout their whole life. Specialized cells are cells that perform specific functions. Examples of specialized cells, animal cells are red blood cell, sperm cell, ciliated epithelial cell, nerve cells, which are also known as neurons, and egg cells, which are also known as ovum. If you have more than one, that's ova. Examples of specialized plant cells are palisade cells, which you find in leaves, spongy cells, which are also found in leaves, xylem cells, phloem cells, and root hair cells. Here we look at specific animal cells. Now we need to take note that this is not an exhaustive list, but look at the most common animal cells. So we will be looking at the different parts and their adaptations. So we start by looking at the sperm cell, which fertilizes the egg. At the tip of the head is the acrosome, which contains enzymes that dissolve the outer lining of the egg to enable the sperm to easily penetrate it. We can see that the head is spear shape or pointy to enable it penetrate easily into the egg. The midpiece contains a lot of mitochondria which helps to produce energy to enable the sperm to reach the egg. You have the flagellum or the tail which enables the sperm to swim. Secondly, we have the egg cell, which also known as the ovum. It has the jelly coat which protects the egg. It has a thick cell membrane, has a large cytoplasm to increase the surface area and to store a lot of nutrients for the embryo that would develop. Now we look at a red blood cell which carries oxygen to the body cells, oxygen and glucose to the body cells for respiration. It is an unusual cell because it has no nucleus to increase the space for it to carry a lot of oxygen. It also has a biconcave shape or a disc-like shape to enable a squeeze easily through the blood vessels. It contains hemoglobin which binds to the oxygen to be carried to the body cells. It has a large surface area to be able to carry a lot of oxygen. Now we look at the nerve cell or the neurons. These transmits electrical impulse around the body to enable us sense our surroundings. Have a lot of dendrites to connect to other neurons. It has the axon, long and thin axon to carry a lot of electrical impulse. These axons are protected by the myelin sheath. This is a fatty layer that insulates the axon, and they have a lot of nerve endings also to connect to other neurons. We have finally the ciliated epithelial cell. You find these cells in the trachea or the windpipe, and the fallopian tube or the oviduct in the female reproductive system. It has cilia in the trachea to trap dust in the air we breathe and waft them out. It also produces mucus, which traps pathogens in the air we breathe in. Now we move on to specialized plant cells. We start with root hair cell. Root hair cells enables the plant to absorb water and mineral ions. It has a lot of root hairs to increase the surface area to be able to absorb a lot of water and mineral ions. It has a large vacuole to be able to store a lot of water. Now we look at the palisade cell. These cells are found on the upper part of a leaf. They have a lot of chloroplasts, and the plant leaf is adapted to having a lot of chloroplasts in these cells to absorb a lot of sunlight for photosynthesis. We have the xylem tissue. Its function is to transport water up the plant. This is facilitated by transpiration. It has lignified dead cell walls to protect and strengthen the cell or the tissue. It has no end walls between the cells to enable the water to move effectively and efficiently up the plant. You have the phloem tissue. This is involved with translocating what food molecules like glucose up and down the plant. It has sieve plates between the cells to control the transport of the food molecules. It also has companion cells which provide energy to transport the food molecules by active transport. Now we finish this off with a plenary quiz. Take a moment for each question. Number 1 says cell differentiation is when cells develop specific organelles to become specialized. This is true. Palisade cells are adapted to absorbing sunlight by having a lot of mitochondria. That is false. They are adapted to absorbing a lot of sunlight by having a lot of chloroplasts. Xylem cells translocate sugars and amino acids up and down plants. That is false. That is the job of the phloem cell. Sperm cells have a lot of mitochondria to provide energy through respiration to reach the egg. That is true. Plant cells differentiate throughout their whole life. That is true. Specialized cells are cells that perform many functions. That is false. They perform specific functions or particular functions. Nerve cells transmit electrical impulse throughout the body. That is true. Ciliated cells are found in the oviduct. That is true. You also find them in the trachea. Red blood cells have biconcave shape with a large surface area to pack a lot of oxygen. That is true. Root hair cells have small vacuole to store a lot of water. That is false. They actually have large vacuole. We'll see you in the next lesson.